Okay, so we're going to make a pinhole for these cameras. We've already got here a box that's been painted black on the inside. Okay, and we can see here that a larger hole has been placed inside the box at the front. This is important that we've already got this, so we used a drill earlier to make that larger size hole. And now what we want to do is take this small piece of tin, put it over the front, and we want to have our small pinhole opening there. Okay, this hole is much too large. We need to have a much tinier opening, so we'll use the little piece of tin over top. So to put a hole in the piece of tin, I'm going to make sure that the piece of tin is flat. If it's not flat, you can always grab something like a marker and maybe press it down so that it's nice and flat and it doesn't have any sharp edges on it. Then we can use anything that we want to make the hole. I'm using a cutting mat underneath here so we don't go through the table. This is something called an awl. An awl is just a sharp piece of metal attached to a nice handle that we can hold on to. If you don't have one of those, even just a simple little thumbtack will work fine. What we want to do here with the piece of metal though is we want to press down and make the hole in the piece of metal, but then we need to make sure that we don't have any sharp edges on the metal. So by that I mean, now if we imagine we're looking at the piece of tin from the side here, when we poke down the hole, okay, when we go and poke down the hole, we're going to end up making a bit of a burr here and here, okay? We want to get rid of that. So we're going to take some sandpaper lead and we're going to sand down those little edges so that we end up with a nice clean hole that doesn't have any edges to it at all, okay? So let's do that. Let's take, in this case, the awl, okay? I don't have to be too particular about finding the metal. Sometimes I will either twist with my hand like this, or sometimes I find it easier to almost grab the metal and twist that way too. And in this case, I'll just go back and forth. The smaller and more clean and round the hole is, the clearer and sharper your pictures will be. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I've gone right through here. You can see I've gone right through. And you won't be able to see with the camera, but now I can feel clearly with my finger that there's a bump there now. I've got a pretty clean hole on this side, but I've got a bump here, and that bump is not good. We want to get rid of that. So I'm going to take some sandpaper. You might want to start a little bit slower first, because it's going to have a bit of an edge there, and it might catch. And we're going to keep sanding and sanding until I can't feel that little bump anymore. I'm going to turn it over and we'll sand it this way a little bit too. So I sanded that metal burr away, and now I can feel I've got a pretty nice clean little hole there. So now I've got a couple pieces of electrical tape here. I'm going to put some tape all the way around on the metal here. I'm not going to cover over the hole, of course, because we need light to be able to get through there. But I'll cover it up so it's mostly gone. Okay. And then now that's going to go on the front of the camera. We want to make sure it's lined up over the hole in the box there too. So I might even have to, in this case here, and this will be hard for you to see, but I'm actually just going to hold the box up to the light here to see if I can line up the hole properly, the pinhole. There it is. Okay, and I'll attach it to the front there. Tape it on. It'll be hard for you to see, but maybe you can notice now that there's a little pinhole is shining through on the camera now, okay? Now, the final thing that we'd want to do is put some kind of a little shutter on the front of this so that we can keep it closed when we don't want light to come through. So for that, it can just be another simple piece of tape. I like to fold a little piece of a flap here on the tape. Then we can put it over the camera. And to keep from pulling the flap right off, I'll put another small piece of tape here. So now, when I'm ready, I can open up the shutter in the camera and I can leave it exposing. And then when I'm ready, I can just push it back down. Okay. And that should be it. Now the camera would be ready to create a little light check to make sure that it's perfectly light proof. So in order to do that, I would take the whole thing into the darkroom. I would put a small piece of photographic paper inside the camera. On this camera, the pinhole's at the front. You put a small piece of photographic paper here, close up the camera, okay? And to do a light check, I would take the camera out into the classroom then, or out into the bright light, let some light come around it, but then take it straight back into the darkroom and process the piece of paper that's inside, okay? Process the piece of paper that comes out in the darkroom. It should come out totally white. Right, if no light was able to penetrate the camera, it should turn out totally white as a light proof test. Then you'd be ready to try your camera out. Then you could load a fresh piece of photographic paper, come out, make sure the camera's on a nice level surface, open it up to expose the paper for, say, maybe 10 seconds outside on a sunny day, close it up, and then take it into the darkroom for processing. All right, give your camera a try.